Welcome to Hey, Great Shot. This is the Great Shot Podcast, a Crack Racquets and Tennis Channel Podcast Network production. My name is Alex Gruskin. On today's show, we've got another edition of The Deciding Point, our weekly recap of everything that happens in the Division I college tennis world. Of course, here on Wednesday nights, we break down all the Division I men's action. And this was a relatively calm weekend in the Division I men's college tennis world. Of course, we can all understand why the national indoors now officially in the books. A lot of top teams taking a weekend to recuperate, refresh with conference play on the horizon. That said, there are still plenty of results for us to discuss here on today's show. We want to do that. We want to run through not only the latest ITA rankings, but our Crack Racquets top 10 as well. We want to preview the week ahead, talk about what our coverage here at Crack Racquets is going to look like over the course of the next few months as well. Do all of that and so much more. And if we plan to break it all down, you know I like to have some help along the way. Thankfully, I do every week here on this show, as joining me once again is a man you all know best as a co-host of these Deciding Point episodes, but perhaps more importantly, the forefather of the college tennis ranks formula predictions, never far from the listed UTR, one of the many dames to root for the Liberty Flames. And I'll say it with this camera angle in particular today, the lean, mean, vegan machine. It's our dear friend, Chris Halioris. Chris, what happened to your neck? It's gone. I didn't know you had a chin.
Well, look, okay. I mean, that's a great unplanned segue, Gruskin, into, first of all, not only am I still jealous of that amazing Ellesse shirt you're wearing, please, sponsors, I need one of those, please. But the fact that I don't have one of those this week is okay, because look, man, Austin Rapp hooked us up. And if you can't see, this shirt and this hat, spectacular. And the reason you see my neck is I put this on and I was going to take a picture and I felt so bad about how I looked that I had to shave.
That's what it is.
I was like, I literally took a picture and went, oh, that's atrocious. I can't rep this Clemson gear looking like that. So I had to go shave just so that I could take the picture and post it on Twitter and preview the garb for the show tonight. So, well, yeah.
I appreciate you doing that. You look young. I'm trying to think. There's a character. I mean, you didn't watch Superman, the animated series, or maybe you did see it on Side Flashes, but there's Mr. Mixelplex, who what Superman has to do is get him to spell his name, and then he disappears, and he's like all head, no neck. And that's you right now. Like, You're looking good, my friend. And yes, to your point, I'll rock it for the moment.
Let's
Shout
go.
out to our dear friend Austin Rapp, now the assistant for the Clemson men. He was kind enough to send some gear our way. It is a sharp orange. And I sent a photo to my brothers immediately because that's what I have to do whenever I get gear. And when I say my older brother was like, that's mine now. Like, it wasn't even like it was in one of those tones of like, Alex, you have done like 3 things for me in my life. This is one of them. That's mine now. And I was like, fine, but can I keep the shorts, please? Because, again, shout out to our dear friend Austin Rapp for hooking us up. And to your point, shout out, as always, to our dear friends at Ellesse, sponsors of today's show. And, I mean, again, they make me have shoulders. They make me look good in collared shirts. If they can do that, imagine what they can do for you. You can learn all about the expansive Ellesse catalog by clicking on the link in the description to this podcast. I will text Dave Emke, Chris. I promise he's going to be so grateful for your continued full-throated endorsements. You will have one of these in the mail. I've just been on the road for the past month, Chris. So
I need one, baby.
Yeah, I keep forgetting, but yeah, again, if you want to look sharp, you want to be outfitted in the best, check out our friends at Ellesse, or you just want to support them as they continue to support our adventures into the college tennis world. Shout out to our dear friends at Ellesse. All right. Yeah, it's rare that I'm the scruffy one and you come in cleanly shaven here today, as this is our last calm before the storm. Conference play is on the horizon. Spring break trips are on the horizon. There's a lot of good tennis in front of us. This will be our shortest episode of the year. We don't have that much to discuss here today. I mean, still plenty of meat on the bone, though, and I see Scotty B is in the chat, so perhaps he'll have a question or two for us today. Archit joining us as well. If you want to read Archit's breakdowns of the SEC, Chris, you might not be our SEC correspondent anymore. You might have graduated to senior. You know how there's the White House correspondent and
I'm
the
just
White House
I'm just the editor now.
No,
Archer's the correspondent.
You're the senior correspondent. That's what it is now. You've actually been elevated. So congrats, man. Here's a promotion. It comes with a smile and maybe an Ellesse polo. But yeah, we still do have headlines for everyone to discuss today. And I think the biggest result we have to discuss is the Blue Gray Classic, which is a really fun event hosted down in Auburn. Auburn hosts a ton of fun teams. It's, I believe, 8 men's teams, 8 women's teams on the weekend. They all come down and compete. Most teams, if not everyone, are guaranteed 3 matches. Though I don't think they played the Nebraska-Texas Tech match for some reason, but typically everyone's guaranteed 3 matches. It's very
needed to get back.
Okay, see, Chris.
And it was late. They had huge weather issues, rain delays, etc. Late night. They were finishing one match and starting another late in the day. They needed to get back. Tulane had to go.
If people are watching the stream, they see the smile on my face. That's our senior correspondent right there, Chris Halioris. Still boots on the ground. He's still got it. I question his role, and immediately he steps up with the inside scoop. So shout out to Chris as always. But again, Blue Six, a really good event. Welcome back, everyone, to tonight's edition of The Deciding Point. I guess Chris made such a good point about what happened to start off the Blue Gray Classic, why our final match was canceled, that it shut the software down. Even it was surprised Chris still had that in him. But again, getting back to the Blue Gray Classic, and shout out to Chris, who in the interim looked up that 8th team, which was Oklahoma. A lot of good matches throughout the course of the weekend. Ultimately, it's Auburn 3-0. They get a 4-2 win over Arizona, 4-1 win over Texas Tech, 4-0 win over Middle Tennessee, and they needed it. As I alluded to, this team had a really tough kickoff weekend where they lost 4-0 to Wake Forest. They lost 4-0 to Duke. They did not look like the veteran team that was on the precipice of top 16-hood to end last year, but looking at the results this weekend, Chris, the big thing that stood out to me, they got back to playing good doubles. They win the doubles point in all 3 matches. That Arizona match was a lot closer than even that 4-2 scoreline revealed. But, again, credit to this Auburn team, Chris. They needed 3 wins. They got them this weekend.
Yeah, as you said, the doubles was critical for them. And yeah, how things have changed. And honestly, given, as you said, they started the year with that 4-0 loss at Wake, in kickoff, which at the time
it's not even that, though. It was the Duke loss. 4-0 to Duke at that moment was a disaster.
Yeah, and we thought, hey, at the time, the thinking was, wow, Wake looks like they must be better than we thought for sure. And then as things started happening with Wake, you started kind of getting to the point where you thought, wow, now that Wake win doesn't even look that good, and the Duke loss, and things weren't looking great for Auburn. So definitely a huge momentum shift turnaround weekend for them to go 3-0. And like you said, that match, even though it was 4-2, right? It's 4-2, and the last match is 4-3 in the third, unfinished. And they have four of the 6 singles matches go 3 sets. That was a very, very tight match.
Yeah. And I think the big thing for this Auburn team, look, Tyler Stice, he's going to be in the fight. He's going to play at least 500, maybe 60% ball all year long at that one spot. He has a really good weekend. Wins over Slump, 3 sets with Smith, but he also got a win over Wallen for Texas Tech. So 2 wins on the weekend. The big thing for me, though, was the bottom of their lineup. The best version of this Auburn team is seeing Mergitt, Gulka, and whoever is in that 6th spot, whether it be Dubai, whether it be Billy Blades, who they played a bunch this weekend. They got to get 2 points out of those bottom 3 positions if they want to be top 25. They got that in all 3 matches this week. And look, I think we're still all wondering for Alejandro Moreno. That's really the new piece in their lineup. And, you look for Moreno. I don't think he has the biggest track record of results for us to turn to, obviously, right now, as he is the freshman coming in from Knoxville, Tennessee. I will say I got the chance to watch him play a bit as, again, I'm intrigued, no doubt, about the freshman. But yeah, I just, again, this team should be pretty solid everywhere, right? And that was the theme for me this weekend, is they found different ways to win in all three of their matches. Again, in that Arizona match, you had 4 3-setters, and they go 2-2 or 2-1-1 in those 3-setters. Like, they played like a veteran team should play, as they've been in those crunch time moments before. Again, really good weekend for Mergit at that 4 spot. I think he has to be a go-to point for them, given his experience as well. Again, they seem to be settling into some doubles teams. Here's the question: is the best version of this team in there with the Floridas, right? Who's a younger group, in there with the I'm just, again, Tennessee sort of played their way back up into a higher level of conversation. It's really Florida. It's that, can this Auburn team challenge Florida, right? That's probably the spot they're looking at, one above. Can they also get themselves in the top 16 mix? That's the question.
Yeah, I think that there's a mix of teams that, off the top of my head, SEC wise, I would say Florida, Auburn, Mississippi State, Texas A&M, right? Those 4 teams for sure are kind of in a, I think they're a level under potentially right now, under Tennessee. Tennessee's kind of put themselves back in the conversation with the top group, and that's sort of that next group that is all going to be fighting right there for one of those top 16 spots. And it's very possible that more than one of them still gets one. But I think that the best version of this team definitely is. And one of the things that encourages me about this Auburn team is, look, you got Jan Galka playing 5, who, if I'm not mistaken, I think he was 2 last year on a good Auburn team. And yes, he had some injury issues late last year. And if you get the luxury of playing somebody that's got that experience down on the 5 line, it's much like the fact that, we're looking at Georgia, who's been able to drop Teddy Giuska all the way down to 5. Now, that's just a good spot to have somebody that's got a lot of experience in the Power 5 playing high in a lineup. And that's going to benefit them.
Yeah. I agree. And again, Auburn now really gets the ball rolling. They've got the full SEC schedule ahead of them, plenty of time to play their way into the top 16. And again, finding their form right in the nick of time. Let's look at some of the other teams from the Blue Gray, as again, 8 teams competing here this weekend. I think there are 3 in particular we should focus on. Let's start with Arizona. Goes 2-1 overall in the weekend, gets wins over Nebraska, Oklahoma 4-1 before, again, a really tight 4-2 loss against Auburn. Again, they're right there. Third set's at the number 5 spot, at the number 6 spot. Colton Smith gets a really good 3-set win over Stice. And, again, Zeverts Moreno's 4-3 unfinished in the third. This Arizona team, you look right now, they're 8-3 overall. Here's the thing. Here are their 3 losses. Texas, now 4-2 at Auburn. None of those are bad losses. They already have a win over Baylor. They got a win over Oklahoma, wins over Pepperdine, San Diego. That's not a bad start to the season. Again, they're going to get a look at Stanford, at USC, and for what it's worth, that USC match is at home this weekend. I mean, are we already at the point, and I'm looking at their schedule, they have another at Oklahoma, but that's really left in terms of meat on the bone plus conference tournament. Does this team have to win at USC to be top 16? Or USC at home, to be top 16?
No, I mean, look, they're 17 now. I
Sure.
mean, it's gonna be a battle, but they're right there, and they're gonna get opportunities. I mean, it would be nice if, say, and it'll happen later in the year, because it's going to take some time for some of these teams, like a Stanford right now, who's probably not where we all know they can be. I assume they will float up over time. They're going to get opportunities to play, but both Stanford and USC. Mm-hmm. Do they need to win? Do they need to beat one of them at some point? Probably. I mean, whether it's in the regular season or the conference tournament, do I think they end up top 16 if they lose every one of their encounters with both of those schools? Probably not, just because of the fact that it's going to be tough to come by points. I think they're definitely good enough to be there, but I think they're going to need one of those wins at some point.
Well, that's just the issue. Is I don't think if your best wins are San Diego, Baylor, Oklahoma, pick a fourth, whomever, maybe they win at Cal, which, by the way, not an easy match. Like, if those are your 4 best wins, I just don't think that's going to be enough to be top.
Yeah, you 16. Count 9 wins have to count going to
that's
NCAA.
What I'm saying.
So.
And they really don't have that. Again, they've got the full Pac-12 schedule, but that's really it. Again, the non-conference play is sort of up. They got at Oklahoma. They've got Gonzaga on the schedule, at Tulsa as well, and then the conference play. And so, again, I think this is a good Arizona team. I would not want them as my 17 or 18 seed first team out of hosting, because they can absolutely go on the road and beat you. This is an experienced team with Strom and Zeverts and Double H. God, this is where we need Matty Stacks back. Double H, just the mere mention gets me thinking Matty Stacks. But again, that Arizona USC, Arizona at Stanford match, those two are circled on my calendar, because that's when we'll find out if this Wildcats team is going to be top 16 or not. Middle Tennessee, they go 2-1 on the weekend as well. They get, again, wins over Tulane, over Oklahoma, the loss to Auburn. They're 12-4 overall. Their best wins, good win over Duke. USF is a solid win. I mean, Oklahoma is a solid win. The problem is they had a lot of shots. That 4-3 loss to Oklahoma State stings. 4-2 to Wake Forest stings. 5-2 to Mississippi State stings. They still have, obviously, their whole conference play. They've got Northwestern, Oklahoma on the schedule as well, and then a Louisville at the end of the season. Is that enough? Can this team get back to top 16, Hood, Chris?
They can. It's definitely going to be tough for them. And look, the problem is they're good, but they're not beating those top 16 teams really to put them in there.
I'll tell you this, if VCU would have beaten Wake, and we'll get to that in a second, no one would have been happier than Middle Tennessee.
Yeah, but they barely, what you don't see is the opening day match. They played Tulane. Tulane was up 3-2. I think it gets tied 3-all in the last match. They go down to the wire. They're down 5-4 in the third in the last match. And they get it 7-5. I think it might have been, I think they played singles first because of it. And that was a doubles match, but they get that match 7-5 to win it. They were at the wire with Tulane, who they incidentally play again here very shortly in their regular schedule. But it's looking tough for them, just because they don't, in the past couple of years, they've had 3 or 4 big Power 5 wins over, SEC schools and maybe an ACC school, and they just haven't quite pulled those off this year. So it's going to be a little tougher to grab a top 16 spot for them this year.
The Mississippi State one's the one they want back for sure. That's the one that you kick yourself in later on in the year. But look, I really like Slump. I really like Roca. I really like Brostrom, Paulson. And then I'll take Modal at 6 to battle and just be down there grinding away. This is a really good, it's a really solid team. I wouldn't say really good team. They are a really solid team. They are a tough out. They're right there with Arizona, similarly gritty, in for the fight. Yeah, again, those are 2 interesting teams to monitor that both go 2-1. Tough weekend for Oklahoma. No doubt about that. They get a win over Alabama, but, again, you look for this Oklahoma team to get knocked out by Arizona 4-1 and knocked out by Middle Tennessee 4-0. It hurts. Again, this is a team that was right there with Tennessee. We almost saw them at the National Indoors, and I still on paper really like Martinez, Hassan, Hahn, Monsi. That's a fun 4, Chris. It's a fun 4. Top 16 is no longer in play. No doubt about that. But man, I don't know that I'm not writing that team off yet. Where are you with them? It was a tough weekend.
Yeah, it's kind of started on a high and has just trended down ever since the loss to Memphis. It's just, I don't know what it is, but they lost that match, and then they lose to Texas A&M 5-2, which isn't great on paper, so far, because A&M hasn't been fantastic. And then they barely beat Alabama, who comes out of here with nothing. And yeah, it's just I can't. And then they go and lose to both Arizona and Middle Tennessee, getting 1 point out of both total out of those 2 matches. It doesn't look good for them right now. But to your point, there's a lot of talent on the team. It's it's maybe what I would call a poor man's Tennessee. Obviously, they don't have that talent level. But it's the same kind of thing where you look at the talent on the team and the results that they're putting up currently don't match the talent level on the team. So something's going on.
Well, We got a good question. I believe it related to Scotty B. He asked how good are Oklahoma State. Let me just ask you this right now. Oklahoma State's 8-3. They have dropped matches to North Carolina, Columbia, Cornell, wins over Middle Tennessee, Vanderbilt, Washington. They play right now, Oklahoma State. Who you taking?
I mean, if it's a healthy Oklahoma, I like Oklahoma. They're probably, and I'm not looking at it, they're probably behind them in the rankings, and their record's probably, worse. But there's just more pure talent on the Oklahoma team. They're just not playing well right now. But they're both, to me, they're both like battling, trying to be 20-ish, right? I mean, that's sort of the upside for these guys. I don't think either one of them's hitting top 16 without some miraculous Big 12 play. They're going to get their chances, but even with Baylor being a little bit down right now, and maybe that's what they need. Maybe they need that it's still going to be a good point match. Now that they're not a top 10 team, let's say, maybe they're beatable, but you can get points for beating a top 20 team. Okay, then that's good. But it's going to take a big win in the Big 12 for both of these schools to try to get any sniff of the top 16 spot.
Oklahoma's at Pepperdine, at UCLA, at USC in a couple of weeks. They've got UCF still at home, SMU still at home. They've got at Texas, at TCU in the same weekend. Sorry, brothers. That hurts. And then, Oklahoma State ends with Baylor at home. They got to win that one. No doubt about it.
Yeah, that could be a big one.
Yeah, that could be for the tournament. That could be really fun no, I think they'll probably be in the tournament. But
they should be in, but I mean, depending on what happens before then, that could, if they get themselves on a run, that could mean, it'd be hard for them to make a run at a top 16, but I wouldn't put it totally out of the question, at least not yet.
It's a fun lineup. I mean, again, Zink, Garcia, Beecroft, again, Ferguson, a lot of fun pieces there. And again, we see what the DT is building down at Oklahoma State. But all right, that's enough on the blue-gray. Let's move on to our other headliner. And again, we're keeping today's show on the shorter side simply because there's not a ton of meat on the bone. But let's talk Northwestern. Northwestern was a team, I think, coming into the season, we thought bringing back everyone that they did, adding Yatsuk to the mix as well, that they could be on the fringes of a top 16 berth. Certainly, it felt like they could be competing for that number 3 spot. They were probably the favorite for the number 3 spot in the Big Ten coming into the season. And I mean, look, it hasn't been a bad start for Northwestern. They play a really competitive match in Ann Arbor against Michigan in kickoff weekend. They, get a win against NC State 4-3. They, get a win at Duke, at Clemson, at Alabama, lose a tough one to Harvard 5-2, but they were in a good spot going into the weekend. And look, again, 2 matches at home, Memphis, Villanova, you win those 2. You're definitely still in top 16 contention. They go 1-1. They do earn a 4-1 victory over Vanderbilt. They also earn a 4-0 victory over UIC, but they drop a 4-1 match at home to Memphis on Friday. Let's start with the Northwestern side of things, Chris. I still really like this team. Like, they are deep, and it's worth noting, they beat Vanderbilt without Steve Foreman at the top of the lineup. They lose to Memphis, and again, no Steve Foreman, who would be the number 1 player in their lineup. So I do feel like that's a notable thing when looking at them from the 30,000 foot view. But top 16 hunt, this loss to Memphis hurts.
Yeah, it hurt. The funny thing is, in the rankings, it didn't drop them at all, which is, because Memphis actually has a decent rank right now, I guess. Yeah. But I don't know. I would push back on your argument that they're deep, at least, right? I mean, if you're deep, you don't lose to Memphis 4-1, missing your one guy. Yes, I understand. Everybody's got to slide up, but you don't get beat at 5 and 6 to Memphis just because you had to have 2 guys slide up a spot. That's not deep enough. So I think that's a concern for them. Obviously, when Foreman's in, they're going to, they're going to win their share of matches at 1. And it does give the luxury of everything down. I mean, everything down through Presley, which, he played 4 in that match. So push him down to 5. They are good, solid through 5 with Foreman. When you pulled Foreman and you had to bring 2 other guys up, that it was just, it wasn't obviously they got beat at the bottom of the lineup. That hurt. And no Foreman in the doubles, which is, not helpful either. So when you lose the doubles point and you lose a match at the top, and then the bottom doesn't perform, that's a rough way to go. They could use a little more depth. I think 12, 13 where they are is probably a little overranked. The question is, can they stay top 16? That's what you're shooting for, right?
Gonna have to beat Illinois, maybe even beat one of Michigan or Ohio State. I mean, look, what I like is this team dropped the doubles point in both matches, and after not getting a win in the top 3 against Memphis, they sweep the top 4 against Memphis against Vanderbilt, to get the job done the next on Sunday. And again, you're right. Like, this team should not have, Brathel, Pickens, who were in third sets, they should have won. You got to get over the finish line on a day without Steve Foreman when you're taking on Memphis. And, again, Blecker loses 7-5 in the third against Harry Rock. It's a match they got to have on a day when you don't have Steve Foreman. But yeah, they're still top 25. Now, again, they're going to have to beat someone now in Big Ten play.
Huge matches coming before Big Ten, though, right?
Absolutely. They've probably got to go 2-0 now against Columbia and Princeton, right?
At Columbia, at Princeton, they have to win Princeton, clearly.
Well,
Columbia would just be
so let's go through it.
Boost.
They're at Columbia, at Princeton, Middle Tennessee at home before the start of Big Ten play. They have to go 3-0?
No, they don't have to go 3-0, but they've got to go 2-1. Because if they go 1-2, the win is at Princeton, which, okay, but it's not a big help. And then they're dropping Columbia and Middle Tennessee. That's, you're done. In all likelihood. Now you're not done, but you put yourself in a spot where you pretty much have to beat Ohio State or Michigan at this point.
No, I'm saying it. Middle Tennessee versus Northwestern, March 9th, Thursday. That's an elimination match. Loser of that one's not a top 16 seed. I'm crossing them off out of the list. Is that fair?
That's probably a fair assessment.
All right, I think so. Memphis, you mentioned them. Frisky group so far, these Memphis Tigers. Talk to me about what you've seen from them.
I mean, look, most of these guys have been around for a while. It's a veteran team. Alamani's one of the guys I got to see last year I don't know if he was a freshman last year. It was definitely the first time I had seen him. I've seen guys like Stevenson and Cutting, who I don't even think is playing, and obviously we know where Connor Gannon came from, and Jeremy Taylor and Fanlo have been there a while. They're a veteran group. They're solid. Would I say they're, really good? I don't say they're really good, but they are dangerous, and they've stepped up. Look, they got that first one that they got over Oklahoma that kind of made you go, what, they struggled to a 4-3 over Vandy, which is always a big interstate match for them. Played fairly well against Duke, got blasted by UCLA. I mean, it wasn't great until they got that win over Oklahoma, and then they follow that up with a win over Northwestern like this. They're looking really dangerous now. To me, that's going to be a really good match coming up this weekend with Tulsa.
Yeah,
another team right in that same kind of range.
This team's 5-2 overall, wins over Vandy, USF, Oklahoma, Northwestern. Here's the thing. They have 7 matches left on their calendar. Now they also have, 6 matches left on their calendar. Now they also have an at San Diego Invitational, an at Arizona State Invitational, but only 6 matches left on the calendar outside of that. That's surprisingly low. Like, again, and this Memphis team is 5-2 overall. Like, I don't know how those invitationals work if they're getting multiple matches in them. I assume they have to be, because otherwise they just don't have enough numbers on their schedule. But yeah, to your point, Alamani is top 100 player in the country, and the sophomores played really well so far. You're absolutely right. It's a frisky Memphis team. Tough loss certainly for the Wildcats, and again, they've got a big stretch coming up. Columbia, Princeton, Middle Tennessee. We'll be keeping our eyes on that. Let's move to the other things we think you should know. We're going to rapid fire through all of these, Chris. Wake Forest survives 4-3 over VCU. They dropped the doubles point, came down to a third set match. Tachi clinching 7-5 in the third over Bertamon, excuse me. I mean, look, VCU got wins in this match at the numbers number 2 and 5 spot, plus they win doubles. I mean, look, it's tough for who's Wake Forest to? Duke or North Carolina in the ACC?
Say that again.
Who do you think Wake Forest is closer to, Duke or North Carolina?
Oh, Duke.
Yeah, like, is this team going to be top 16? I'm a little worried.
I mean, they had a decent start, but man, I don't know. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm worried because I don't the plus side for them is there are going to be a lot of points available in the ACC this year. I mean, you don't have to beat the Virginias or the North Carolinas, whoever those may not be the top two. Now you've got the Florida States and the NC States and the Louisvilles they're everywhere in the ACC now. So there are going to be lots of opportunities. They just need to beat a couple of them. And right now they don't even look like that's not in the cards at the moment. But I still think that they'll make a little run. There's just too much talent, at least in the top 4 on this team, to not put up some wins.
Yeah, well said. I just think if you ask Tony who's the best player on your roster, he'd say it depends on the day. And again, that's both a good thing, but also not the greatest thing for this Wake Forest team. Notre Dame, 4-3 over Michigan State. I mean, look, Ozan Barris, gets a win at 1 doubles. He gets the win over the talented freshman Domingo for Northwestern at the number 1 spot. Sheldon gets a win at 2. Again, this match had 3 3-setters. For Notre Dame, they were supposed to play Michigan. That got canceled due to an ice storm, but good for them to get this 4-3 win over Michigan State, bounce back after Ohio State just blitzed them on Saturday. I mean, oh my God. We'll get to the Buckeyes a little later. Again, I don't have many thoughts other than to say I'm excited to watch this Michigan State team. I think they're going to play some 4-3 matches this year, Chris.
Yeah, I think you put it well. Good win for Notre Dame, a match they should win, and they did, but it was, really tight, 4-3, and there was a 7-5 in the third, 6-3 in the third for them. But encouraging, if you will, in Harry Jaden's first year at the helm for Michigan State, that look, we know they've got some talent up top bringing Ozan, and they just, look, we all know it's going to take, you don't just come in and day one, you have to have all the talent. It's going to take a couple years and a couple recruiting classes to get that in. He's on the right track, and they're playing good, good tennis with what they've got, and they just got to get better on paper.
Yeah, well said. Let's move on to the Ivy League now. Cornell drops the doubles point. They get a victory 4-2, though, over Oklahoma State. Here's what I'm saying, Chris. We know Harvard and Columbia are going to be in the top 16 fight. I'm telling you, it'll take Rich Bonfiglio a second year to get Penn in that fight as well. Cornell gets a good win here. Again, they've been perennially in the mix. We're like 3 years removed, although Chris Drake has moved from Dartmouth to Yale, but that portends well for Yale, as Dartmouth is only a couple years removed from Broome and Horneffer and Fliegner from earning a share of the Ivy League title. Princeton's UNC AAA, as we like to joke around. Ivy League's good, Chris. It's really good.
Yeah, this is honestly one of your sneaky top 16 outsiders, right? Because they're already, what are they, like low 20s right now?
Yeah.
And look, before they get into the Ivy League, they've still got SMU, Penn State, and VCU, their next 3 matches. Those are 3 matches all worth points. And then they can, and then Western Michigan. But then they get into the Ivy League schedule, where, of course, they're going to pick up matches with Harvard and Columbia, but as well as Princeton, and maybe a few that are worth points.
And Penn, I'm telling you, Penn is good. I saw them in kickoff weekend play South Carolina. That team has, Rich needs an assistant, but that team has game.
Yeah, I've seen them the last couple of years, and I love Graziani. That kid can play.
Zoo can play.
And Zoo can play too. Yeah, those 2 guys at 1 and 2. I'm not sure. I'm guessing that's still the 1-2 in their lineup. But yeah, those 2 can play. So yeah, they've got a good base there too. But yeah, Cornell could be, they've only lost one match on the year to Harvard, pick up that good win over Oklahoma State. It's a sneaky outside contender if they can win, 9 quality matches.
All due respect to Brown, every other team can get into the NCAA tournament in the Ivy League this year. And that's crazy considering they didn't have tennis for a year and a half. A testament to all the programs being built. And maybe that says something about our sport of tennis that we can unpack on a different time. All right, last thing I want to run you through, and then we'll get to the rankings in the week ahead. Michigan win over Washington on the road. They do it without Maloney, but Aaron Schneider gets his first singles look of the year. Texas 5-2 over Texas A&M, and then aforementioned Ohio State 7-0 over Notre Dame, or whatever it was. The big thing for Ohio State, Robert Cash is undefeated. James Trotter is undefeated. Bernard is clearly going to be a really good option outdoors, and he's already rock solid inside. I don't know how they don't play Jack Anthrop. I mean,
that's exactly what I was going to say.
His forehand is a joke, Chris. It's a joke.
So you tell me how Ty Tucker walks up to Robbie Cash and goes, I know you haven't lost a match this year, Robbie, but you're not playing anymore. I'm sorry.
No,
how do you do that?
You can't. That's the problem. Is it's just they have a ton of options, and Cannon and Boulay and Tracy. That's your top 3.
But that's the question. But the easy thing to do is to keep playing Cash. But I could.
Yeah, but you're not pulling Trotter either.
Well,
and
no,
honestly, Bernard's been better and better.
Exactly. But I can tell you one thing right now. Ty Tucker doesn't care about what he looks like or what the easy thing to do is. The only thing he cares about is what in his mind is the best option to win. And if he thinks on any given day that he's going to be better playing Jack Anthrop at 6 instead of Robert Cash, that's exactly what he's going to do. And some people may go, what in the hell are you doing benching a guy that's undefeated? But I'm telling you, it's going to happen.
It's well said. Well, first of all, Robert Cash is playing unbelievable tennis right now.
He is.
And yet it's and Anthrop might still be, again, it's an embarrassment of riches. And I'm not saying, you
go to a slow outdoor court.
Oh my God. Anthrop's got the weapons. It's just and again, they try to pick on his backhand. He went down the line with it. It's just it's really good. He plays really good tennis. I don't know how else to say it. And so it's the platoon system. It's hey, your ankle hurts you at all, Jack, you're in. Or, you're not feeling it today, Robbie, you're in. It's just legitimate options. And yeah, with that in mind, do you have any, we'll talk about more of Ohio State, those options, I suppose, in a little bit as we look at the week ahead. But any other matches you want to look back on?
No, I think that you pretty much covered it with those 3 right there. Texas, I think still, it was a chance for them to get upset. That certainly they should beat Texas A&M, but obviously there's talent on the A&M team, and then the whole in-state rivalry. It could have been a sneaky, and they did well to just take care of business.
Yeah, so. No Cleveland singles, and Texas still gets through. Tough loss for Bailey, but that's a testament to Perot. Good to see Braswell bounce back with a good win over Perego. And then again, Waldeep Marson was tricky, goes their way. Again, for Michigan, you got to be really happy Swenson gets a win. Fenty continues to do his thing at the 1 spot. Bickerstaff bounced back well as well. Again, they all looked good. I don't know how else to say it. And yeah, I would say that's the majority of the matchups, the things you should know coming out of the last week in the college tennis world. And with that said, let's get to our rankings. I won't lie. I submitted the exact same ballot to Westhoff this week as I did last week, Chris. I don't see a ton of movement nor anticipated in our rankings. Yeah,
same. There was no change in the top 10.
And so you see it. TCU at 1, Texas at 2, Ohio State at 3, Michigan 4, Kentucky 5, South Carolina 6, Virginia 7, USC 8, Tennessee 9, Georgia 10. Yeah, that feels right to me, Chris. Any comments?
No, I like it.
Yeah, and again, there's some teams just on the outskirts, but again, that's really what the national indoor results dictate. Let's move over to the ITA rankings quickly just to see how we compare. Excuse me. We don't have the ITA rankings. So we're going to just stick now and move ahead to our week ahead. Although for what it's worth, I have the ITA rankings in front of me. TCU 1, Texas 2, Michigan, Ohio State separated by 0.59 points in the average right now. Michigan at 3, Ohio State 4, Kentucky 5, South Carolina 6. The big note, Harvard's at 7 in the computer rankings, USC 8, Georgia 9, North Carolina 10, Columbia at 11, Northwestern 12, Auburn 14 feels notable. Cornell currently at 23, to your point, Memphis at 26, just to update you on some of the teams we were talking about a little bit earlier. NC State at 39 is one that stood out to me right now as well, Chris. I can't. Texas A&M at 49. Those are
some of those schools just, we know they're good. They haven't gotten the big, the big wins, the opportunities they've had for the big point wins. They just haven't taken advantage of. So yeah, there's going to be some changes there, obviously.
Penn, by the way, 41 right now. They're in the NCAA tournament. I'm telling you, I'm buying all the Bonfiglio stock. I'm just telling you now, like when he is a head coach somewhere and that team is good, hopefully we'll have access, Chris, because we have bought the Bonfiglio stock, and it's when, not if, whatever program he's at is a perennial top 25 school. And so with all of that, yeah, Chris agrees.
I'm just thinking Gruskin's staring at that NCAA projection cut line on the page already. That's right now all the way down at 49 because of these sub 500 teams that are still in the top 50.
If you're asking me, have I sent the what if calculator to anyone this season, then be like, whoa. The answer is yes. And so, yes, I have ruined a couple of lives for the next few months. But with that said, let's get to the week ahead. And obviously, the big thing here at Cracked Racquets is with the introduction of the week ahead and conference play comes the introduction of our Cracked Racquets broadcast for the next 3 months. We are so thrilled to announce we'll have coverage of the ACC, of the SEC, and of the Big Ten moving forward through each and every weekend of conference play. Our first broadcast, as a matter of fact, starts tomorrow, as we'll be covering everything in the SEC. The men play Thursday, the women play Friday. We'll have coverage starting at 3 p.m. on Thursday. Not sure what time our coverage starts Friday, but obviously we'll tweet that out to all of you. Again, we're going to have coverage of it all every Thursday, Friday through the remainder of conference play. We'll have coverage of the ACC, on Fridays and Sundays. We'll have our Big Ten broadcast on Sunday, a couple of one-off matches as well thrown into the mix. We're really excited to get things rocking and rolling here at Cracked Racquets to continue to provide coverage of, again, what we think is no doubt some of the best tennis you will see in all of the tennis world. With that said, Chris, week ahead, you get to pick one match in the week ahead. What would you pick and why?
Just one, huh?
Yeah, we're going to get to all of them quickly. We can do, how about this? You can pick right now. It's a choose your own adventure. Pick one match, or we really have to rapid fire one take for each match.
All right, I'll take my one, even though it's not I don't think it's great because it's indoors. But
Westhoff's so happy, by the way, you answered that. Carry on.
Yeah, it's still got to be South Carolina at Kentucky. I mean, 2 top 6 teams.
Over Ohio State at South Carolina, really?
Yeah, it's the conference match, so. We get the conference going tomorrow.
Okay.
That's a big one.
Can I give a 2018 Alex take? It's been a while since I've given you one of those, Chris. Are you braced? You're skinny now, so maybe
let's hear it.
I think, and I'm going to play a little psychologist here. Tell me this isn't Coach Tucker in another stroke of brilliance being like, hey, I see what Josh Goffey's building at South Carolina. We're getting them on the schedule ASAP. Like, tell me that's not another tie pulling a tie, where it's just like, how did we not see this matchup coming? Like, of course, Ohio State now is going to South Carolina. Like, it's just like, I should have known. A younger me would have been looking for this, Chris. I really am just mad at myself for not anticipating this would be on the board.
The only thing I can hope is, look, we're at the 1st of March. It's South Carolina. I pray to God this match is outdoors.
I mean, I think it will be, and I think that's why it's on the schedule.
Right, and it should be, barring some barring rain type weather. Probably not going to be too cold at that point for that. But yeah, I want to see these 2 schools do an outdoor battle.
I just think this is a coach to coach, like Coach Goffey, you're on my schedule now. Like we're playing every
Well, this
year.
is, yeah, it's like you said, we've talked about it for years. It's classic Ty Tucker. No, there's no reason to be afraid of playing other top 10 teams. And when you know teams are going to be that good, there's no penalty in losing. And the bonus for winning is so big. Absolutely. If you could play all top 10 teams, you do it. You play them all.
I'm not saying, by the way, that other coaches in the country don't do this, because I know they do. But I just want to know who sent the text. Like, everyone around the program, you know where to find me. Just tell me who sent the text. Like, I don't know if Ty is the biggest texter, but he probably called and it's just like, Josh,
Can you text from a flip phone?
Yeah, it's March 3rd. Are you in? Like, yeah, I'm in, coach. All right, we're doing it. Lock it in. Like, or just whatever it may be. So I'm really excited for that match. Samuel versus Kingsley. Like, come on now. Like, popcorn. I don't care if Djokovic is playing Medvedev in the semifinals in Dubai. Like, forget that match. I'm watching Samuel Kingsley. Like, I'm all in on that. And again, South Carolina is going to be ready for the fight. They're going to come out swinging. That's going to be a really good match. Chris, you have 12 seconds to answer all the takes. Ready? We are rapid firing here to end the show. Northwestern at Columbia, Princeton. We already talked about the importance of that. Cal at San Diego. Who needs it more? How about that? That's what we'll do. Who needs it more? Cal at San Diego.
Cal.
Who are you predicting?
Cal.
Arizona at Oklahoma. Who needs it more?
Oklahoma.
Who are you predicting?
Arizona.
All right. SEC play. South Carolina at Kentucky. Who needs
big
it
one,
more?
but you got to take Kentucky indoors.
I think they both need it equally. I agree. At Kentucky, that makes sense. Tennessee at Auburn.
You got to. I mean, that's another big match, but you got to think Tennessee.
Huge match. That's
yeah. After Auburn,
one.
What Auburn just did this weekend. Oh man, what a come down that would be to come home and then drop the home match. But I don't know. Tennessee looks like they're starting to turn. It's a big one. I would lean Tennessee.
Auburn hosts Tennessee and Georgia. Do they go 1-1?
Yeah, I think they go 1-1.
Okay, ACC matches. UNC, Notre Dame and Louisville get the Tobacco Road duo. UNC and Duke. Does Duke and UNC go to a combined 4-0?
Yes.
Okay, I like that. NC State at Clemson. Sweet baby Rays. Does NC State need a win? I'm like interested. I think Clemson's frisky, and that's not just because we have the gear now. Hold on, let me put it. I think Clemson's frisky, Chris, as I put on the Clemson hat. But no, I'm just like, again, if NC State's who we think they are, they'll win that match 4-1. But they haven't done that this year.
No, they haven't. And I agree. NC State should win the match, but Clemson has definitely been getting, they're getting better every year. They've got the residual from what was one of the best recruiters in all of college tennis. That was Matt Walters, who's now gone, and Austin Rapp obviously there now. But they've got talent. They've been bringing talent in for the last couple of years. It's starting to show itself now. They're not a bad team, and they're sneaky good. FSU
at Virginia. Excuse me. Who you got?
I mean, you got to take Virginia at home, but that's another one of your, put that one up in the top 3 of the matches to watch.
ACC versus Rodesh or Montez. What do we see?
I think you play him against Montez.
What? I would say Rodesh and say Chris is going to swing. I feel like you can't give ACC time.
Yeah, but I feel like Virginia is going to look at it as even, and it's not like it's a sacrifice. Montez can beat anyone, but I think Rodesh is a lock at 2. And I think they look at it and go, hey, if I play it the other way around, whatever, call it a sacrifice at 1, but it's still a 50-50 match. But yeah, you give me the lock at 2, I'll take it.
Yeah. All right. You thought I wasn't going to ask you last match. Florida at Mississippi State. Give it to me.
Come on. The Mississippi State is waiting for this rematch. They lost 4-2.
Well, shout out to Florida, who tweeted live from Stark Vegas. Like, that was for you, Chris. That was a direct message to you.
Yeah, Coach. I mean, I'm not like, I need to get Coach Shelton on the phone here. Yeah, it's Yeah, I mean, I know Mississippi State they desperately want this rematch. They played at Gainesville kickoff weekend in that final to go to indoors. They lost that match 4-2. Truth be told, in my estimation, probably just fine of a loss because you're likely to go 0-3 indoors, and that's never a good thing. So yeah, but it's a good match. It's still going to be really tough to overcome Florida. But I'll ride my dogs. Home match. I'll say they find a way and they pull it off.
All right, there it is. Well, let me just say on the last note of that match, 3 certainties in life: death, taxes, and that I will thoroughly enjoy my time on the treadmill running next to Scotty Perlman every morning we're in the same hotel, because it's a tradition that we've just shared. And like, I'm actually so excited I've gotten to know Coach Perlman, because talk about a guy who just has nuggets of wisdom about like all these. I mean, we're talking history of Minnesota tennis. We're talking just like, it's my alley where I'm just like, he'll finish his story, and obviously there will be a detail that I'm like, well, I kind of know about that, but will you follow up on it? And he'll be like, I would love to follow up on that. And like, we have the best time next to each other. And so shout out to Coach
Scotty's
Perlman.
such a guy.
Yeah, I'm sure I don't smell great in those mornings when I'm running next to him, and yet he tolerates it and puts up with my nonsense. So shout out to Scotty, big fan of his here on the Crack Racket Show. Can I make a joke at his expense? You think he knows how to listen to a podcast?
I definitely think he knows how. Is he actually listening to us? Not a chance in hell. Go for it.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm just kidding. I love Scotty. Someone show him this segment, and he knows I love him. And feel free to send him my contact info, because somehow we haven't exchanged numbers yet. And again, that's another brain. We just got to have him on the show at some point. But with all that said, that's a look at the past week, as well as a look at the week ahead in the Division I men's college tennis world. With all of that in mind, again, SEC broadcast Thursday, Friday, SEC Plus, ESPN Plus. You can follow it all, of course. ACC Friday, Sunday, same deal. ACC Network, ESPN Plus. You can follow all of the action Sundays, Big Ten, Cracked Rackets YouTube channel. We are excited to bring all of that action to you. Of course, a shout out, as always, to super producer Daniel Westoff, who makes it all possible. Shout out as well to our friends at Ellesse for their continued support of the Deciding Point. With all that in mind, Chris, any final thoughts? You ready to wrap today's show?
I'm ready to wrap, ready to watch. Everybody, Nuno versus Holger Rune coming up here very shortly. And for all of you listening on podcast, sorry, it's already over. But we're about
Shout
to
out
get
to Nuno for the victory. Away. Congrats to Nuno on the victory. Yeah, since it's all right, we'll get ahead of that now. No, and in that spirit, and given your gear, given what we received today, you say wrap, I say Austin wrap. Shout out to Austin again for hooking us up with some Clemson gear. With all of that said, for the fantastic Chris Halioris, our super producer Daniel Westoff, our friends at Ellesse, and from all of us here at both Crack Rackets and the Tennis Channel Podcast Network, I'm your host, Alex Gruskin. Chris, what do we tell our listeners?
Hey, great shot.
And we will see you all tomorrow. Thanks, everyone.